What's up, everybody? Josh Lyles here with Salesdash CRM. In this video, we're going to be going over how to find shipper leads faster and more efficient than scanning through Google. Going on Google can make sense, obviously, if you're just trying to find a shipper that moves the kind of products that you're trying to move. But we're going to talk about playing smarter here as a freight broker. And so, whether you use spreadsheets to manage your leads or a CRM, part of this is in talking them through this video is because with Sales Dash, we're one of the only freight specific CRMs. And ultimately, what we do is we help freight brokers manage their shipper leads, help with their follow up tasks. And it also helps you when it comes to basically, understanding, okay, what does the shipper do for their shipping operation? What equipment types do they move? Modes, pain points, contract or spot freight. So some of you are going to use spreadsheets. If you need a CRM that's pretty affordable, Sales Dash is $39 a month. It's templated, built specifically for freight brokers, and it's only getting better. So, but in what we're going to go through right now is finding shipper leads. And the two resources that you can do this super quick, they have free plans to start off with, and you're going to be able to have 50, 100, 200 leads in a quick time period. We're going to be taking a look at Apollo.io and Seamless.ai. So I'll jot this down so this way you guys can take these websites with you. I do recommend taking a look at both of them just to see exactly which of the platforms you like best, but these are going to be the two. So I'm recommending these two, especially for starter freight brokers or people that are early on in the game where you may not have the deep pockets to get a platform like ZoomInfo, which is super expensive. But as somebody that's used all three, as well as even other lead gen tools that are outside of these three, Apollo and Seamless are really strong, I would say, on data quality. I don't even know if it's totally worth going for the full bump up to ZoomInfo. I mean, I think that's something you can do as you progress. You get more loads, more margin, and more profit. But to start off with these, they have free plans, but you'll probably want to go to their $50 to $100 plan. And ultimately, here's the situation: you want to get 100 to 200 of these, and you need to just be prospecting those for some time. So maybe you just get it for a strong month, get enough leads, and then come back to it, once you've kind of cycled through those. But with both of these, the great part about it is that you can filter through them to find the exact shippers that you want. My biggest recommendation with this is to not get trigger happy and say, oh, well, I'm just going to go get 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. I think if you're playing the game smart, you would get very targeted. So number one, you get targeted on your location. You can start by actually filtering by the location for where these companies are going to be. It makes a ton of sense to start with where you're based out of because you have some kind of common ground with them, or maybe even where you're from. Maybe you could do both those locations, where you live now and where you're from. But you want to be smart about what the location is. You want to be smart about what industries you're focusing in. I do highly advise not to just go for anything and everything. That was part of my mistake in starting Sales Dash, was going after all kinds of industries, and then we made the pivot to freight for freight brokers only, and that was one of the best things that we ever did. The last brokerage that I had worked for, let's even go back. The first one, they kind of went after everything, a little bit harder to sell. The second one that I was at was an open deck focused only brokerage, so just flatbeds, hot shots, step decks, that kind of stuff. And it made it significantly easier because you tell people that this is what you focus in. And it just makes the conversation a lot simpler, and you also know what problems that they commonly have as you continue to focus in deep with one equipment type, one mode, whatever it may be. And I'm not sitting here saying to shortchange yourself, but you should really try to focus in one specific area if you can. I think it'll only make it easier for you as a salesperson if you're doing cold calls and cold emails. So getting back to it, location is going to be one of the first things you want to filter by. If you can start with your just general area, I think that's the best way to do it. You do want to consider employee size. You don't want, I would say if you're starting off, it probably doesn't make sense to go after the big enterprises. Those typically are going to be contracted. You're going to be going through bids. It's typically more competitive. It's going to take a lot more time. So, I mean, I think if you're getting started off, going in the smaller range probably makes a lot more sense, but probably get a good healthy balance of both. But I would say more smaller to medium sized when it comes to employees or when it comes to revenue size. For industry and keywords, just consider, I would say, the equipment types that you're focusing in, whether that's, or even just like the modes. So if you're full truckload or if you're LTL or, in the drayage container space, if you focus in more like dry vans and box trucks or sprinter vans, or with reefer freight, in the food and beverage space, or with flatbeds and hot shots. Again, like think about the industries for the products and commodities that would be shipped for those specific equipment types, and that's what you want to find. And the good part about both of these platforms is that they have just a multitude that you can search from and refine your results. I think the last thing that I will at least say in taking a look at this, because this is pretty self-explanatory, super easy for you guys to get set up with, is to consider the job title. So like easiest thing, shipping manager, logistics manager, transportation manager. The job titles for those that tender freight to you, if you're already moving shipments now, you probably want to just go find other contacts that have a similar title as them, or that you just know that typically handle shipping. So those are good areas to start. And then with that, you can do one of two things. You can, basically just start picking up the phone, calling through the list that's in these platforms. You can export them all to a spreadsheet, manage them in a spreadsheet. Or again, with Salesdash, you can actually import your spreadsheet. I will say I use both Seamless and Apollo because I prospect out to freight brokerages. But you can simply import those into the CRM. We have a 6-minute video that walks you through how to import leads into the CRM. It can take you less than 5 minutes to do. It's going to take you a little bit more than that the first time. If you have any challenges, you can always reach out to us and we will help you out to get that done. But this is definitely what I recommend to be smarter, more efficient compared to Google. You're going to be able to get the leads that you're going to want to target. That'll give you the highest chance to actually potentially land them if you can talk about, what that they specialize in. So Apollo.io, Seamless.ai are going to be your best when it comes to lead gen, finding shipper leads. And then Salesdash CRM.com is where you can do a 14-day free trial if you need a CRM to manage those leads, the follow-ups, profile the shippers for what they do in their shipping operation. And the other part too is that you can store your carriers. So if you're basically managing a list of different carriers, you can store their top preferred lanes, all their contacts for their drivers, dispatchers, and you can manage that stuff, email, call directly from the CRM as well. So hopefully this helps. This should not be too difficult. If you have any comments, just leave them down below, and happy hunting.